morning, or good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, freedom lovers, people of Biafran descent. Yeah, it's a pleasure to come your way again. These are sad times, yes, because of course we know Biafra is very, very much put in a very, very endangered position. Yeah, because we have our maximum leader, Nnamdi Kanu, even though very much distressed because of his health conditions that have made it impossible for him to function optimally. We still have him having to undergo this trial and mistrial in the hands of the Nigerian uh, cabal, the Nigerian government. I mean, we can't imagine why a man who three appellate, courts have, granted and acquitted him, in the past, is still being tried so painfully, tried so vigorously, and tried with so much, hatred and, pathological hatred, in these so-called trials. Ladies and gentlemen, these are sad times for Biafra, because even in Finland, our own Simon Ekpanjoku is equally having his appeal now, from the conviction that was very erroneously and very wickedly orchestrated by Finnish authorities and the Nigerian government. Yes, there's no two ways about it. That is the truth, and the truth has come out in full, glare, public. So we are not, we're not in the best of moods now. But of course, I just want to bring a quick, exposure to the fact that the embattled freedom right activist, human rights activist, uh, OMOYELE SOWORE, one-time presidential candidate of the Action Democratic Party, you know, has come out to say why he believes the Nigerian government doesn't want Kanu out, alive. Yeah. So for the purpose of this audio, Sowore, Moyele Sowore, a human rights activist who just a few days ago, you know, uh, convened the hashtag protest, hashtag release Mazi Kanu now protest, and who was recently in the same court, who visited Mazi Kanu in the court, the Federal High Court, under Justice James, yes, a motor show, he visited him, and after that visitation, where he, cheered and shared kind words with our maximum leader. Unfortunately, fortunately, the Nigerian police came out and arrested him. They claimed they arrested him because the FCT Commissioner for Police wanted him. As if that was not enough, ladies and gentlemen, not quite too long, a day after his bail that he met, with a counsel, yes, led counsel to special counsel to Nnamdi Kanu, a lawyer Jumako, and Prince Emmanuel Kanu, younger brother to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They met their bail conditions, and as they were coming out, of course, the police again regrouped, this time brutalizing, assaulting, physically attacking, and kidnapping, if you like, Moyele Sowore again. This time they said he had abused the IG. He had called the IG useless man, which, of course, Sowore very, very, quickly and, clearly said he had never, ever said so. So unfortunately, he came out on bail from arrest, because of the protest. He was arrested again, and I'm happy to say he's out once again. This is a man who appears to have, who appears to be like a proverbial cat with, 9 lives. They arrest him today, they release him next tomorrow, they rearrest him again, and they released him 48 hours later. That is the journey so far for the human rights activist and former presidential candidate in the February 2023 elections, Omoyele Sowore. But I tell you the truth, Omoyele Sowore has gained, the attention and the like, and respect of Igbo people. Unlike Remo Mokri and a whole lot of others who have continually and continuously put Igbos in a bad light, speaking bad about the Igbos and orchestrating things that rubbish Igbo agenda and Igbo people. This man, Omoyele Sowore, has warmed himself into the heart of the Igbo people, the Biafran people, because he has come out to say and vigorously campaign that Mazen Nnamdi is, should be a free man because he has done no wrong. What he campaigned was a normal, peaceful protest, just like any other person, including Sunday Igboho of the Southwest and including well-known uh, uh, Arewa protesters in the North. So Moyele Sowore has warmed himself into the hearts of Ndibo. And I must tell you here and now that I doff my heart for him. My respect for him has quadrupled. Yes, this is a man after the heart of Ndibo. Because of course he has come out and openly disgraced Southeast leaders, including David Umahi, the works minister, including Joe Ibokwe, including Professor Charles Soludo, Chukuma Soludo of Anambra State, including Hope Uzodinma, including the five-time Senator Orji Kalo of Abia State, and the whole lot of them, including the governors of Ebonyi State, Francis Winfrey Obonna, and all those people, all those Southeast leaders who have turned their backs on Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Sowore told them to their face, it is a shame that your kith and kin is being kept under very inhuman conditions in the DSS dungeon. And what do? You turn your face and wash your hand clean, and you're singing praises of the man who has kept your brother continually and continuously and wickedly inside the DSS dungeon. Sowore has told the Chukuma Soludo and a whole lot of Igbo Southern leaders who jumped it from one party into the APC, saying Tinubu was the best thing that happened to the land. I mean, he quoted somebody like David Umahi who said, if you don't give Tinubu your vote, if you don't give your vote to the Jagaban, then of course you will be sorry, because this is the man who means the best, the very best for Igbo people. Ladies and gentlemen, Omoyele Sowore called these Igbo Southeast leaders, the governors, and legislators, senators, even ministers. He called them a wasted generation. He called them people who have betrayed their kith and kin in Biafra land. Ladies and gentlemen, Omoyele Sowore has written his name in gold. He has written his name in the sands of time, in the annals and the history of Igbo land. And I make bold to say, Mr. Sowore, Omoyele Sowore, I want to congratulate you, and I want you to know that in no time with the history of the Biafran struggle, with the history of the arrest, trial and mistrial of Nnamdi Kanu, in no time will your name not be written in gold. Kudos, more grease to your elbows, and keep on keeping on. Ladies and gentlemen, this audio is going to be brief. We're going to look into why. Why has human rights activist Omoyele Sowore, alleged that the Nigerian government does not want Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, in bracket IPOB, to come out of detention alive. Yes, let's go into the post. In a post shared on his Facebook page on Wednesday, Sowore claimed that Kanu remains detained because they know the lies sustaining their power will collapse once Mazen Nnamdi Kanu walks out as a free man. Yes, according to him, the authorities do not want Mazen Nnamdi Kanu freed alive, and they are united in that mission. Yes, ever since they realized their web of deceit was beginning to unravel, they have gone into overdrive. The activists added that the government is afraid of Kanu's release because it would expose, quote, their fraud, their greed, backstabbing, and betrayal of justice, unquote, insisting that the people's eyes have opened and fake political careers built on deceit, destruction, and the oppression of the masses will not survive the truth, unquote. Kanu has been in the custody of the Department of State Services, the DSS, since 2021, following his rearrest over allegations of terrorism and treason. linked to his involvement in the separatist movement. Earlier this week, SOWORE led a major protest in the Federal Capital Territory (FCT), calling for Kanu's immediate release. Several protesters, including Kanu's lawyer and brother, were reportedly arrested and remanded in Kuje prison. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's the brief synopsis of it. The truth of the matter is that Moyele Sowore, human rights activist, one-time presidential candidate during the February 2022 election, has come out to say that he is disappointed because the Jagaban, the PBAT, who claim to be a human rights activist, who claim to be a fighter for the liberation of the oppressed. I mean, we saw what he did during the Yoruba, the Duduwa fight for the reclamation of the 1993 so-called victory, electoral victory of MKO Abiola. I mean, this same Tinubu was at the forefront with other freedom fighters, fighting for the emancipation of the Duduwa kingdom. The same Tinubu, aided and abetted people who operated a guerrilla radio station, Radio Kudirat. We know all he did. We know all his antecedents. And Moyele said he's disappointed that this Tinubu now is the one who has become very, famously linked with oppressing people, especially, people who dare to protest freely and peacefully, people who dare to proclaim the innocence and, the backstabbing and the, treating the marginalization of their people. He mentioned that somebody like Nnamdi Kanu was a simple, a peaceful, a kind, loving, fearless protester of the Biafra mandate, because of course he knew that these people have suffered enough. Mazi came out to say enough was enough. This is why, the only reason why somebody like PMB, late PMB, and now the PBAT, are holding him hostage, making sure they don't want him to come out alive. Omoyele Sowore said, it is a shame, big time shame indeed, that, leaders of Nigeria don't want, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu to come out of detention alive. Yeah, and they said it's very, very shameful that the authorities do not want Mazen Nnamdi Kanu freed alive, and they are united in their mission ever since they realized their web of deceit was beginning to unravel. They have gone into overdrive. Finally, the activists added that the government is afraid of Kanu's release because it would expose, quote, their fraud, their greed, their backstabbing, and betrayal of justice, insisting that the people's eyes have opened and fake political careers built on deceit, destruction, and oppression of the masses will not survive the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very, clear, very clear and flagrant, expose about why the cabal are keeping Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. This is why his trial and mistrial. This is why they have refused to recognize and to respect, appellate high court that had pronounced him not guilty. People who have said his rendition from Kenya was a kidnap and not a rendition. They said, several high courts have said the Nigerian government, the Nigerian judiciary has no legal locus standi to try him. So all these so-called trials under first Justice Muritala Nyako, Binta Muritala Nyako, who recused herself, and then this current Justice James Kolawole, Omotosho, who came pretending to be more holier than the Pope, pretending to be a humanist, pretending when he told Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, your matter had dragged too long, and I feel for you. You are looking sick, you are looking gaunt, you are looking highly malnourished. I feel for you, and I think your case has overlingered, if there's something like that. It has lingered, really. Lingered, that's the right word. So, fortunately, Omoyele Sowore said Justice James Kolawole Omotosho has played the ostrich, pretending, to reason with Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. pretending that he, actually appreciated the fact that Nnamdi Kanu has been unjustly detained for so long. But what has been his modus vivendi so far? What has been his modus operandi? He said the way manner Justice James Kolawole Omotosho was going about his trial of Nnamdi Kanu showed a lot of prejudice, a lot of bias, a lot of wickedness, and what you might call a dance to the gallery of the Jagaban, just to make sure Nnamdi Kanu never comes out alive. He queried why mass witnesses were allowed in a court of law. I mean, how could people come out and say they didn't want their faces to be seen? They didn't want their voices to be heard because they are DSS operatives. And if they spoke in a language that everybody understood, in a voice everybody understood, and if their faces were shown, their lives could be endangered. Moyole said, these people are, of course, playing to the script. They don't want Nnamdi Kanu to come out of this detention alive. They want, at all cost, to delete him within this detention. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very sad one, but the matters are still ongoing. The trials are still ongoing. We are watching with bated breath. We know we would overcome at the end. Nothing would happen to Nnamdi Kanu. Nothing, because he's a good man. He's a free man. Yes, he's a bold man. His only offense was because he spoke truth to power. He looked at them in the face and exposed their deceit. He looked at the Nigerian government that claimed no victor, no vanquished after 1970 civil war. The same government that said, yes, they declared the 3 R's: reconstruction, rehabilitation, and reintegration. The same government that came out, rather than bless these people, show these people who have come out from a 3 years war, where they had lost close to 5 million, both children, both sick children, both malnourished children, adults, women, and aged. Yeah, they lost over 5 million. Rather than show them empathy and compassion, the government of Yakubu Gowon, still alive today, gifted them with a paltry 20 pounds. He said that was a very glaring case of wickedness, man's inhumanity to man. It was a case of genocide, near genocide, and then setting a whole region, millions of people to go and starve. You better spend your 20 pounds well, or you starve and die. You could either live or die. That's what OMOYELE told them. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is here live and direct. As we say in the Biafra Superstars media, we call a spade, not an agricultural instrument. We want you to hear the truth. We hear the news as soon as it breaks. We'll give you a blow-by-blow account of everything concerning Biafra, talking about Biafra, the personalities in Biafra, everything about Biafra, the objectives of Biafra, and the reason why we are pursuing the redeclared sovereign United States of Biafra. Ladies and gentlemen, Moyele Sowore has said it all. There is a grand design from the cabal, from the leadership, to make sure Nnamdi, does not come out. A free man does not come out alive. And they are united in that mission. Yes, ever since they realized their web of deceit was beginning to unravel, they have gone into overdrive. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pause it here. Before I go, I want to encourage us. These are not times, to waste your time. These are times to be proactive. Pray for Biafra. Wish Biafra well. Pray for Nnamdi Kanu in his health challenges. Pray that now that he has decided to represent himself, the government will see the folly and stupidity of trying a man that several courts of the land have pronounced free, have acquitted. Over 3 appellate high courts have, told him, declared him free. Why arrest a man? Why try a man who has been acquitted and discharged? That is the irony of justice. That is where we are. And that is what the international community is watching Nigeria. That is what the Kenyan authorities are telling Nigeria. This man, you kidnapped him from Kenya. We have told you you aided and abetted, and we have fined the Kenyan authorities. Why are you still holding him? The Togolese, excuse me, the Togolese Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Togolese High Court judge called them and they said, look, you don't do this, it can't be allowed. It can never be allowed in other climes, except you want, of course, the international community to clamp down on the Nigerian judiciary, except, of course, you're giving Mazen Nnamdi Kanu the leeway to move for a referendum. Yes, get the International Court of Justice involved, because what you're doing to this man is completely illegal, totally against the rule of law. You want him to be tried, a man who is already, declared free, declared, innocent. And when the Nigerian courts have already declared him, free and bailable, why is the Nigerian government still holding him? You want to kill him, you want to destroy him, you want to kill his motive. But of course, you can never succeed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you all.